So, the next quest up in Diablo 2 is Quest 4 of Act 3, and this is actually a bonus quest that you do not have to complete, and if you're playing on Eastern Sun, most likely you probably will want to skip it because it is ridiculously hard. In Eastern Sun, they moved the quest item location to a specific spot. In regular Diablo 2, it's actually kind of randomized into a random dungeon in the upper Kurast area, but in Eastern Sun, you go to the Kurast. I'm fucking saying it wrong. Kurast Bazaar, and in there's a place called Serana's Bookstore, and it's on the second level of the bookstore. But the enemies inside this dungeon are ridiculously hard, and that's intentional. You're actually not even supposed to go there until after you complete this act, and that's kind of the way that they do the bonus dungeons in each of the acts. Is you go back and do them afterwards. But I went ahead and did this because I'm baller like that. But it was pretty difficult. There was a lot of times where I had to run away, and I'm sure you're gonna have to do the same. And the enemies have a lot of health. The only thing that really kept me alive through this dungeon was my ridiculous amount of life leech that I get from my druid skills and from my equipment. If you choose to do this area, don't count on your mercenary. If you're playing a class that really relies on your mercenary, like if you're a sorceress and you're using the Act 2 mercenary, yeah, don't count on that thing surviving. And it's going to cost you a buttload of money to keep porting back to town to bring it back to life. So really, if you've already been having a tough time in the game, you're not going to survive here. But I actually haven't been having a very difficult time because of my insane life leech. But this dungeon was pretty tough even for me. So tread lightly. One of the things that I found helped me survive in this dungeon was to use the environment. And by this I mean, run into an area, if there's tons of monsters, run away, have a couple of them trail behind you. That way you can sort of thin out the herd and you can take on smaller groups instead of, gigantic, massive armies of monsters that just want to put it in your ass and twist it. So yeah, do kind of like the run and gun type deal. And don't feel bad if you have to port back to town to heal yourself up and get some more potions. That's perfectly understandable. In Eastern Sun, it's helpful that you can buy potions and upgrade them by combining them in your Heroic Cube in groups of 3s, just to let you know. Eventually you'll find the second floor, and this is where the quest item is located, but of course, like the previous floor, it's loaded with a fuckload of tough enemies. I don't know if this group of tree enemies were set in stone or if they were just like a randomly created group of monsters for my game, but man, these were the toughest guys in the whole dungeon. I had to port back to town 4 separate times. I even rezzed my mercenary a couple times to see if she could help, and she was a meat shield for a little bit, but she died really quickly. But yeah, these guys were the toughest. Eventually you'll come across Serena and her minions on this floor, and she's kind of like, I guess the big boss of this extra dungeon, but I quite frankly found her to be the easiest of all the elite monsters that you'll fight throughout this whole part of the game, and that's a little disappointing actually. She should have been the toughest, I thought, but I guess the game, randomly makes the unset elites, and the ones that are set in stone are always the same, I'm guessing. So the ones that the game randomly makes are always going to be harder, I guess. I don't know. But, you know, on the plus side, she did drop a unique quality item, so that's cool. But yeah, kick her ass, and eventually you'll come across the tomb. And, well, yeah, I guess you would call it. It's a fucking book. I didn't read it, but you know, bring it back to Alcor, and he'll play.
Grid, you have found the book. It should give all of us here some insight into the nature of the prime evils. Ah, but as for you...
So you get 5 stat points that you can distribute as if you had leveled up, and that completes quest 4. Now the only thing left to do is to go kill the final boss of the act.